Good evening. Can you hear me? It's always challenging to be the last speaker. If I had known, I would have prepared myself. My family name starts with U, so in the older school days, I was always the last one when I was a little girl. And then later on at the university, I had to wait. There was always a long line of people before me. Pesce should not lose his temper. We know he's a great designer. But you get out of focus. You listen to a speaker, then to the next speaker. There's more food for thought. You get lost. You are no longer focused. I'm Urquiola. I have to be short and concise because I'm the last speaker. And as a last speaker, you cannot afford the luxury of being too long, and long doesn't work. And you are elsewhere, you are in another realm. Ilse was quoting Woody Allen, and I was really fascinated. I was taken away from this quote. It moves back and forth in my mind. And then the hotel. I have designed a hotel myself. This would have been enough. Everything has already been said. It's really universal. Wherever you go, the perfect example, and I don't have it. I don't have another perfect example. My daughters are 6 and 17. The 17-year-old is in Paris with her high school, and she's very happy she's not with me. And this afternoon she was eating at Mercy with her schoolmates. So Merci is a wonderful business operation. We shouldn't be taken away by the fact that they are also selling. They are very powerful. They have turned everything upside down. They have changed the way they sell products. They market them with added value, selling emotions, and we have to acknowledge that. And then also in Milan, my mind was elsewhere. I was so attentive and listening to the other speakers. Now back to me. I am a daughter of postmodernism. This is how I have interpreted this theme. Ever since I was a little child, I have thought you have to develop something which is credible to me. We all tell different stories. So I have interpreted this theme in a slightly different way. My idea was to have a dual approach. I'm Spanish, but I have been in Milan for over 25 years now. So I am an Italian designer. This is where I have started working, but I have deep Spanish roots. I was trained during postmodernism. I was learning from Las Vegas while attending the university courses. Wim Wenders, Paris, Texas. I loved Wim Wenders. It was much nicer than Las Vegas to me. The change occurred in 1986. It was extremely important to me if we want to interpret the concept of unique and universal, translating things for yourself, making them meaningful to you. And then the things you want to create for yourself. Well, I have been doing many things. Here you see a pattern, a scheme by David Byrne. Another very important master in my postmodern education. He has published Arboretum, a booklet where he describes the schemes and creativity. There are wonderful moments, the crêpe or crème brûlée time, the time of energy, where you have a wonderful idea and then they tell you, well, we have a problem with your idea, and everything seems to collapse in front of you. That's wonderful. Here you see aceitunas, olives, stuffed olives, a typically Spanish product, a wonderful design project. And then this bamboo house bought in Barcelona in the 70s. Everything is green, it's very contemporary. Look here, this is my Italian spirit. One of the nicest projects that I have developed, and I would like to describe it to you and how I have experienced it, is when the Di Moroso asked me to design carpets with a lady from Sardinia, from this small island. They sent me over a small lady from Sardinia. She was for the very first time on the mainland, and we had to work together on this carpet project. She wanted everything to look very modern. I've told her, we will reinterpret your Sardinian culture, adding images to tell stories. This is the image of a lady from Romania. Well, for me, she could be from Sardinia, but actually she was from Romania. Local. Local is something you need to allow time to develop. You should start wondering how far we can interpret or set up a real bond with our deepest roots. Where are our deepest roots? The fact that I have spent most of my life in Italy have led me to rephrase this question. This is how I was dressed up when I was a little girl. I'm from northern Spain on the Atlantic coast, and I've just had an opportunity to dress like that once. It's a completely different culture from the Sardinian lady or the Romanian one, the flamenco dancer, or the interpretation of Switzerland. We were in Germany about 1 month ago. This is a retouch painting, a blurred vision, wonderful. Hyper-realism, this shift in dimension, which was really re-heartening me. He is highly creative. You just need to move away from clear-cut perceptions. Sometimes you don't want to find a right place, a well-defined place for objects. This is one of the exhibitions in Spain to tell how I work on carpets. Another exhibition at Verona in Italy to tell how Italian I can be as a designer. Back to Spain. About 3 years ago, there was an art director, an opera director, who wanted to do a scenography with me. I'm a designer, I'm an architect. How can we collaborate? It's out of my scope. There are people who are more qualified than I am. He has finally convinced me. We have done this scenery together, and then I have moved back. Here you see Kartell chair. There was a Sardinian carpet, some dryad objects. We have had fun. I remember that experience. There was a table with tubes, And then he went back from Spain to Italy. It was a cycle. Nina Yachar, another Milanese or designer. She has got foreign origins, but she has done her professional training here in Milan. She says, I want to use a waste. So what is a waste for you is not a waste for me. I want to use products for my tables. For instance, this table, which didn't look suitable to me, she has reproposed it. Look at I'm really still learning a lot. I'm being re-educated, to say. When I have first arrived in Milan, there were two wonderful things. Castiglioni teaching at the university. Design was in conflict, just like Alvaro Sisa in postmodern school of design in Madrid. There was this concept of simplicity, a modern culture, a very simple language, postmodernism, and very essential features. Then I moved to Milan. Castiglioni was conveying contrasting contents. Memphis, Milan was very appealing in the 80s. I'm not saying it is no longer appealing as a city. I don't want to get into polemics. I remember Vico Magistretti riding his bicycle in front of me. He was very down to earth. And then a quantum leap. I have first seen his lamps, which were still affordable. You could find it in the flats of your friends. In Spain, we were not so much at ease with home design. And then it was foldable, sorry. These chairs that you could fold and find behind the doors of the kitchens, typically Milanese objects. I have learned great lessons from them. This is Vico Magistretti's chair. I have paid a tribute to this chair. I'm really fascinated by these objects. I start searching when I see these fascinating objects. Is it comfortable? Is it working? Does it fold well? I get lost. This is a product that I have developed here for Milan. Here, look at the chair, look at the lights. This is another project for the city of Milan. I've first met Abramovich in London. We have started a very nice, a very stimulating relationship. Here you see, last month I was with Alberto, my husband. He co-designs with me. We were in Brazil, at Brasilia. Lots of architects. It was a very special time. We were in an old hotel. We were having a dinner with Maldonado, chairman of the jury at the Politecnico University, where I have taken my university degree. He was talking about Brasilia. He had been invited to the official inauguration, to the opening, and he was telling a story. I used to sleep with Gillo Darfles. A long story, a very fascinating one. He would tell us that in the hotel there was a very long corridor with some paves. It was very hot, and he was walking slowly. There has been a fire. The hotel has been partly burnt during the fire. It has been refurbished. It has now changed. Then I was lucky enough to do this installation for the triennial exhibition in Milan last autumn. There were all designers from all over the world. We have been playing and thinking about the concept of elapsing time. We could devote many conferences to the topic. The idea of a double opportunity, of a dual chance. Let me just submit my client two proposals. They might think I do it out of politeness, but it's just to probe, to see how willing they are to make mistakes, to make the wrong choice. So, as a second proposal, I will submit the best one. You need to find ways of convincing, of leading people to choose, to make the right choice. The fast track is a sign of modern times. Fast track leading us to do wrong things because we don't have enough time to enjoy a nice conversation among friends. The fast track was another element in the exhibition. It could be a privilege if you have to take a flight, but the fast track is not always a privilege because you have to follow the fast track and there's no way out.
Inside there was a divertissement. It's a tribute to my work with Moroso. Over time, we produced a number of products. I went to them and I said to them, let's make an experience with the time machine. It's a fascinating theme to me. It's the only theme relating to a machine that doesn't work. We haven't been able to design such a machine. We're far away from that. It remains science fiction dating back to the 60s and 50s and 70s. We tried to put together different pieces. We built this horrible monster, which was you could try and move in time, which of course couldn't be achieved. This is a video, but it doesn't work. I already know, so don't worry. This is a very nice setting. I tried to put a couple of examples of things that I did. They represent opportunities that I particularly liked. I said to myself, how wonderful that they are asking me to do this. They asked me to participate in the Biennale in Venice to produce a number of glass objects with Murano manufacturers. Last spring, I was with an Italian assistant. You know, usually they work from 6:30 in the morning to 2 p.m., so they finish working very early. So I ended up producing a number of kilns and vases. I never worked on this material before. I came with drawings, but then I drew animals, and he said, well, I don't want drawings. So we immediately started working very quickly, and then he started saying, okay, you draw on the floor. And I kept drawing on the floor, and it took the exact measures instantly from the floor, and it would finish the vases. But, you know, the material was glass, and the furnace was fundamental. So the glass was really hard, and so he used these hand pieces. They are wonderful design objects. I started getting lost in that setting, and I got a fixation of those hand pieces. And so I said, okay, let me design a vase with those two handles. And it was the last tribute to the collection. This is the only object I really love. That's a synthesis. At the end of your work, you end up understanding something of it. And I was really happy. I would throw everything away. This is marble, and it's a material that costs so much. It's so powerful. So what? No, I mean, it's not for me. I didn't want to work with marble. They obliged me to work here on marble for the state university. It's the fault of this person sitting in the first row. So I had to participate in a project where everybody was working on marble, and I was very perplexed. But one of the craftsmen working on marble, they have incredible skills which we have to defend and protect because they're wonderful. It was a lady, actually. She was very open and very inspiring, and she wouldn't let me go away. So she kept saying, we have to work together, we have to use marble. So we started. I went to her firm, and she showed me, this is the raw material, that's what we get. It's impressive, but then they square it out and they only use the lower part. And all those wonderful things around that you would use, they have to discard it. Sometimes they produce marble powder, which is used in toothpaste and other things, but I will not get into those details. And so she showed me what you can do with the waste. So I said, okay, maybe we can work together, but if you let me use the waste. We are making wonderful things. She works for Dubai, for many other places worldwide. So she puts all the waste, small pieces, into this separate room where I can work. So I get all different types of marbles, and I experiment with that. Now we mix pieces with resins, and you see here we produce parqueting tables, and then various small pieces that we work with dedicated machines. But I only work with small pieces. So in the end, a material which is absolutely noble, and I thought it was very far from my mind, from my interest, is actually very good. I mean, I'm drawing a lot of satisfaction from that. I started working with these craftsmen, and I got in touch with a side market. This is something new. It's another tribute to Bruno Monari. I remember when I was in university, and Castiglioni would say, one day he was saying, well, Bruno went to Japan one day. He took a Xerox machine, a photocopy machine. Sorry, my Italian is very bad. So he made a photocopy of a drawing, and when he had to press a button, he showed the Japanese that by moving the piece of paper, something new would be produced. I was talking to another Italian company, Glass Italia, that's the name, and they said, you know, everybody's working well, but they're working on transparent products. We have a silk screening machine, but nobody wants to use it. Would you like to use it? And so I started experimenting on 3D. It's a sort of graphic design on 3D, and it's very nice. I also work on the connection between myself and mass production companies, as if we were working on small series. What doesn't succeed is my fault. I mean, if a project is not interesting in the end, I think I'm the author, and it's my problem, not the manufacturer's problem. There is a company which is often criticized because it has become bourgeois. You know, we try to do new things. We tried to produce this couch for half the price, and it became the bestseller. It's B&B, the company, by the way. We want new things, new forms of any type, any shape, any color. I mean, I'm part of a system between architecture and design. I have my own age. I should not hide that from you. There are generations behind me who will have a much more interesting view of things. Again, other examples of what we do, we try not to think too much. I mean, these objects must be simplified. You have to give a signal. But again, there is always the deep appreciation for a craftsman works. And it's typical of Italy. Well, these companies actually did a lot of different things for authors. This is something that we did for the Philippines. We do prototypes in the studios. My studio is very much into crafts, a crafted product. This is a handmade product, and everything gets mixed. This is a Barbie size prototype, and these are even smaller. I love these miniatures. And then I said, okay, do you want a project made in the Philippines? Let's go to the Philippines. What you see there is a Busnelli. Oh, the man there is from the Busnelli family. Everything I did with these people, I was working with them for the first time, it was like a workshop, but what we did was placed in a sort of a theater, and we were very proud at the end of the day, although it was really hard, but we were happy. The universe with Patricia Moroso is very clear. It's hybrid. And I love your French. Hebrew is fortunately I can speak French, but I forgot about that word, and it sounds great. This was a long story, and it was wonderful. I love this relationship. The uncle, he was depressed 15 years ago. He left the company, and then he went back into the company as a modelist. He was in production, and he said, okay, if I have to go back to work, I need only to work on models. The uncle went back to the company, and we cannot even object on what he thinks. I mean, it's not easy to get along with the uncle. It's really hard to have a relationship with him, but it's fine. I'll continue with him. It's part of a productive dialectics. It adds on uniqueness. What you do with companies is fundamental. There are great stories behind. This is a drawing of antibodies. Zio Marino, Uncle Marino, the uncle said this prototype is horrible. But then from a prototype or from a project of this chair that you see on the left, we transformed it into an outdoor chair starting from the same project. This is a project developed in Doha. I was invited there to develop a project for a park, and these guys said, you know, these ladies love to sit on those chairs called Tropicalia. They're all in black. They must love black. We always work on different materials, on research on material. I mean, in our study, we have a modelist. This guy here comes from Brera. The Academy of Brera. Is wonderful to have a person from the Brera Academy in my studio. He wanted to belong to my small tribe, and he helps us develop the models. This is another lovely story of hybridization. I'm only talking about my story. Here you see a floss. It took me 2 years to develop this object. It was a flexible object, and it was really hard to build it. Now, we always have the idea of homo faber in mind, and I really love the concept. It gives you the idea of locality. Amoroso is married to a man from Senegal. He's a painter. We just started a project. In addition to what we produce in the factory, I mean, I went there only once, but he keeps coming and going from Senegal. He has a small team. The word they produce is typically Amoroso, but it's typical of Senegal, and it's a cross-fertilization. It's something that we really love, but it's hard to carry on with this project. So work is done in Africa, and the time there is different. I went to Africa and I met Peter Mabeo. He is based in Botswana. He's the man who's doing his own design project. He's a producer. He doesn't work for third parties. He also works with people from Sweden, from Canada. We are producing typically African products. I was there sitting on that stool. Again, it's made of wood. Mabeo is a wonderful guy. For 2 times he went to the furniture exhibition. Every time it was late, but then I said he comes from Africa, so the container would never get here, so it was wonderful. It was really wonderful to work with him. He's a very energetic person. You can only see his face in this picture. You don't see me or the table. He's happy and satisfied. This is a Spanish company that manufactures in India, and I said, okay, I cannot fly to India every day, but there is a wonderful girl who continues to send pictures of what they do in India, and I really love it. You know, we have this internet connection, and it's a wonderful way of keeping in touch. So this feeds me for a year. You receive a picture like this, and you are simply astonished. You don't know who to thank. And then hopefully I produced a good work, because the process were great. They were very smart. It's a Spanish company. Here they were producing stools, and this is the picture she sent me. This is me in my studio, but there is this Indian girl, but she's not Indian, she's Spanish. It's wonderful. Let's not forget. It takes some fantasy to do local. It's when you establish rapport. Patricia and myself tried to develop a project in Uzbekistan. We also had a supplier of embroidery. He disappeared. Sometimes you try to do things in a difficult place and then you fail. But then we use machines placed near Udine in Italy. But the girls from the studio did this Photoshop with the 2 of us. Hopefully it's not disrespectful. It's our passion. One day we will get into that market.
The products from that market, these items in porcelain that I designed for German clients, and the passport designer Patricia was talking about. I was talking with the Minister for Culture about a couple of months ago, and in Spain, they have changed the passport, and it looks much worse. It makes no sense. Help me. I would like to have a nicer looking passport. I have proposed a different graphic solution. Passport is really very, very important. It's something you need if you want to travel. This is yet another story, another product with a Japanese designer. We were working together in Germany. These are all interconnected stories. This is a photo in Brazil. It's very difficult to achieve such a level of beauty. Look at this column and this warehouse for ceramic items. It was really very, very touching. This year, I'm going to present a project for Baccarat, for the glass maker. Baccarat is a company which has contacted me. They've got a church named after them, a whole village named after Baccarat, a hotel. There are 200 years behind this brand. They are well known as a luxury brand, as an extravagant brand, but they are great. I would like to learn something from them. We have been working like crazy, designing new glasses, and then we have developed extraordinary vases, very plastic ones. This is my workshop. One of my colleagues, an Italian one, she's always pregnant. She has got lots of children. And we go on with this story of hybridization.